Hello everyone, hope everybody's having a great day today. Right now I'm ranking every game in the Devil May Cry series. Now this is one of my favorite game series of all time, and one I highly recommend getting into. Just remember that this list is just my opinion, and I'd love to see yours in the comments below. With that, let's rock! Now starting off, we have the undeniable worst game in the Devil May Cry series, Devil May Cry 2. Now this game is just frankly not fun. The best thing about this game is Dante's design, and it was what was used in Nocturne, birthing the featuring Dante from Devil May Cry meme. But this game can literally be beat by just spamming the guns the entire time. And I mean this literally. It's one of the easiest games I've ever played. The sword combat also feels like you're just swinging a stick around. The parkour elements are fun with you bouncing off the walls, but that only lasts so long. And with the same environment every level, there's not too much to run off of and bounce around on. So, with the only game I don't like in the series out of the way, let's go. Next up, Devil May Cry, the original game. Father of modern action games, and one that, believe it or not, started off as a Resident Evil game. Now this game is challenging and fun, with some great combat and for the time, an interesting location. Now I do enjoy this game, but I played it more for the historic value. The game just feels dated to me, so for that reason, it stays at number 5. Also, the voice acting.
Should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
Anyway, next up is the black sheep of the franchise. Devil May Cry DMC Definitive Edition. Now let me be clear, this is the definitive edition of the game. If it wasn't the definitive edition, I think it would go back behind Devil May Cry. But because it is, it actually has the lock-on button, which allows for way smoother combat. Now, this game is a huge departure from the previous games. This was an attempted reboot that just completely missed the mark on what fans really wanted from DMC. Now, I greatly prefer the style of normal Devil May Cry, which is why this game isn't in first. But when I looked at this game as a separate entity, or kind of like an Elseworld story, it becomes very interesting and a fun ride of a game, and one that I think gets a little too much disdain from the community. Yes, it's not our Devil May Cry, but it's a pretty darn good game. Next up, we have Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition. Now we're getting to the games that make me love this series. DMC 3 is stylish as hell. Dante is an absolute goon that drops quips in amazing one-liners. This guy is just absolute fun to be around, with combat that is super engaging with 4 main styles to switch between. Play this game, because it's one filled with love. Second place is Devil May Cry 5. Now I almost put this as number 1, and I flipped on it a few times, and next time you ask me, it might be. But because of nostalgia, I think it has to be number 2. But Devil May Cry 5 is an excellent game with the best combat of any action game I've ever played. With multiple characters to control with all very unique styles, each character feels like a different game. The amount of content this game delivers is amazing, bringing back the return of classic Devil May Cry after the DMC reboot. And I just love seeing Nero and Dante together, with their returning banter and excellent enemies with the variation that was lacking in DMC. Also, can we talk about that soundtrack? Absolutely banging. For sure one of the best gaming soundtracks of the last decade. Talking about this game just makes me want to play it again. That's how good the game is. But it still just falls behind my number 1. So here it is, number 1, Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition. Now, I know this is a bit controversial, but as my first Devil May Cry game ever, this set the standard and is one that made me hooked on perfecting style points and juggling enemies. Nero was the perfect introductionary protagonist, and Dante was the most fun and crazy of any incarnation, I think. This man was wild, and I loved it. He would dance around and still show you who's boss, with quick and easy style switching that allowed for infinite variations of combat. Now this game is repetitive though, forcing you to basically play the whole game twice, and it feels like the devs just ran out of time developing this game. But playing as Nero made up for it. This kid had an attitude and I loved it. Which, P.S., I think got even better in 5. And also, he had that excellent demon arm that I love to slam enemies with. Even with all the Special Edition characters, Nero is my favorite character to play as. This game made me fall in love with the characters and world of Devil May Cry, and for that, it is and remains my #1 Devil May Cry game. So thank you for watching, and have a great day. Please like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below.